Okay, thank you so much for that, Shane. Now, it's my time na naman. So, before that, let me formally introduce myself to you. I know you know me, but for formality, allow me to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Roxanne Gracie Tagab, and one of your presenters in this chapter, the chapter 13, the sales type please, under the POV of the lesser na naman tayo. Because in the previous group, in the previous discussion, they are more focused with the point of view ni lessee. But here in chapter 14, as what I said kanina naman Miss Bubahib, sa point of view na naman tayo ni lessor. Sales type lease under ni lessor, which means tayo na lessor, tayo yung nag-provide ng isang underlying asset that can be used in the lease term for a lease contract. Kasi yung previous, si lessee, sila yung nag-o-obtain ng underlying asset. Pero ngayon naman, tayo yung nag-provide. Wow, yung mayaman na, nag-provide na, hindi na tayo yung nag-obtain. Business-minded na yarn, okay? Iti-record that. So, ano ba tong paksa na pag-usapan na naman natin? Yung subsequent na topic na naman dito sa chapter na to is the sales type lease with purchase option, exercise and non-exercise option. Wow, may mga option. Ano ba to? Purchase option rings the bell for me. Yes, familiar siya, and from that term na naman, we can define it kung ano to siya. It's big sabihin purchase, may binili, option, may pagpipilian. Ano naman itong exercise and non-exercise option? How do we account for it? Ano ba yung purchase option? And in simple terms, if an ordinary people would define it, when we say purchase option, it's like we have the right on what we want to choose. Or we are given an options on what we'd like to purchase. Example, we went to the market and we see displayed fruits there. And one of example is the apple. We see red apple and a green apple. We have to choose. We have an options on what we want to purchase. It's either red or it's either green. But when we say purchase option in the perspectives of the accounting, they have similarities, but may differences as well. Because in accounting, when we say purchase option, it comes from an agreement wherein a right is given, the right which is given by the lessor to the lessee as an opportunity to purchase a specific underlying asset that is being leased after the lease term is completed. Tawag sa labi na ton, purchase option comes from an agreement. When we say an agreement, there is a contract. So, ito sa contract na ito, sino yung involved? Sa sales type lease, na POV of the lessor, ito si purchase option, may dalawang party na involved. Si lessee at si lessor. Wherein si lessor, binigyan niya ng rights, si lessee, na magkakaroon ng oportunidad sa pagbili ng underlying asset na nililease niya. Example, ako, I'm looking for a house for rent. Then, let's say, I'm a long-term occupant. Let's say, 10 years ko yun, 10 years yung contract, bigyan ako ng opportunity ni lessee na, ganito na lang, bigyan kita ng purchase option. Nang after ng lease term mo, after ng 10 years, bibigyan kita ng right to choose if would you like to purchase that such underlying asset. Let's say na ako, binili ko yon, yung house na tinitirayahan ko, ang nirerentahan ko. Kasi, kung napamahala sa akin, yung space na pamahala sa akin, maganda yung ambience naman, maganda pa man yung structure niya, and natigil siya something in Bisaya puslan man na nagabayad-bayad ko, nagarenta ko kanuna yun, di maako, may palang, kung kanang akong ginabayad-bayad, pagka the end of the term, mapasako o dili ko murag lugi ana, kay dili sayang ang akong ginabayad, murag something like that. Yung sinabi ng previous discussion ni Flor, Miss Gumahob, it's this lease and lessor connection is something to do with the rent to own. Binabayaran mo, by the end of the term, mapapasayo yung ownership na yon. Our illustration regarding with the sales type lease with purchase option, let's say Tagab entity is a dealer in equipment, but on January 1, 2020, an equipment is being leased to another entity with this following provisions. So, meaning to say, may nagrenta sa equipment, yung asset pagmamayari ko, may nagrenta. But I give them with this following provisions. Annual rental payable at the end of each year, which costs 500,000 or 500,000 pesos. So, every year, kaisa lang nagabayad means annual about the end of each year. So, means to say, every December, say, every year. So, lease term, 4 years. So, up 4 years, rerentahan o gagamitin nyo ni Lessee yung equipment ko. But yung equipment na pagmamayari ko has the useful life of about 5 years. So, means to say, if gagamitin yan, pag-abot sa 6 years, maabot ng 6 years, means deteriorated din yung quality niya. Since, yung useful life lang man talaga niya is 5 years. If may exceed na doon sa useful life niya, deteriorated na yung quality niya or either not functional at all. So, meron tayong tinatawag na cost of equipment, yung equipment na nirerentahan nila sa akin, which costs 1 million. Meron tayong binayaran or paid by the lessor, kasi tayo yung lessor or the dealer. Initial direct cost, which is 100,000. So, previous discussion, sinabi naman nila kung ano yung initial direct cost. Ito yung initial direct cost is like yung mga process fee, yung bayad mo yun like yung lawyer, para lang pagpa-secure ng agreement ninyo between the lessee sa usaka lease agreement ninyo para ma-secure yun na sigurado inyuhang deal. So, merong 100,000 yung cost nun. Binigyan ko na may purchase option for about 200,000 pesos and implicit interest rate na 8%. So, let me elaborate this one. When we see kasi implicit interest rate is hindi talaga siya stated in the contract na may 8% interest rate. But, na-inform si lessee na meron tayong 8% interest rate but verbally sinabi ni lessor, which is si lessee ni agree naman po. Then that is implicit interest rate na 8%. So, sa iyang ginabayaran na 500,000, magkakaroon yan ng 8% interest or either nakapaloob niyan. Meron tayong present value of an ordinary annuity of 1 at 8% for 4 periods. So, saan kinuha si 4 periods? Of course, sa lease term na 4 years. We're about 3.312. At PB, or present value of 1 at 8% for 4 periods is 0.735. At ito pa yun, may yung no. At the end naman dito sa provision na to, may nakasaad. It is reasonably certain that the lessee will exercise the purchase option on December 31, 2023. So, sigurado na may magkakaroon ng purchase option at the end of December 31, 2023 kay lessee. Kasi reasonably certain, like sinabi tayo ng remote, possible, certain, when we say certain, 100%. Reasonably certain, it is measurable and it is probable. So, ano ba to? So, kailangan natin ng illustration ito. Ito. Gross rentals, we need to determine the gross rentals from the annual rent payable ni lessee sa atin at with the lease term, which is the 500,000, yung annual payable sa atin, at in 4 years times 4, we get the amount of 2 million. Of course, kasali din natin si purchase option, which is amounted to 200,000. And if we were going to add the gross rental as well as the purchase option, we will able to determine the gross investment under the lease receivable, which is amounted to 2,200,000. Bakit kasali sa purchase option in determining the gross investment? Kasali sa purchase option is because kasama ito o kasali ito sa babayaran ni lessee sa atin. Kasali ito sa ma-receive natin aside from the gross rental. Kasi binigyan natin siya ng right. We granted the right. We granted the right to have a purchase option. So, kasali yun sa computation natin and getting the gross investment in the lease receivable. What about how we determine the net investment, our net investment? In determining the net investment is, we need to compute first the present value of the gross rental as well as the present value of the purchase option. So, what is the present value of gross rentals? Says, given yung annual rent payable natin, which is amounted to 500,000, and the present value na 3.312, which amounted to 1,656,000. Our present value sa purchase option natin, which is given natin, is 200,000 times the PB na 0.735, which costs 147,000. If we were going to add the PB of gross rentals as well as the present value of the purchase option, we get the answer of 1,800,000. And this 1,800,000 is our total present value And it could be our net investment. It is our net investment. Our total present value would be our net investment. But what about how we determine those unearned interest income? In getting an interest income is we need to deduct the gross investment from we need to deduct the net investment from the gross investment rather, sorry for that. So, yung na-compute natin kanina na gross investment which cost the 2.2 million kasali na sa purchase option is deduct natin siya sa total present value which is our net investment na na-compute din natin na 1,803,000. And what would be the difference between 2.2 million and the 1,800,000 would be our unearned interest income which cost from our given table 397,000. And here is what is our gross income? How we determine our gross income? Simply is we need to determine the sales. So sales, always remember that the sales is equal to our total present value or net investment which is the 1,803,000 as well as the cost of goods sold which is 1,100,000. 1,100,000 ba si cost of goods sold? Our COGS natin is from the given provision is only 1 million. How come nagiging 1.1 million dito? Si cost of goods sold is being added to our initial direct cost. Incremental cost ito siya eh. As said kanina sa define ng terms ni Ms. Subahib is when we say initial direct cost should be expensed immediately since it is one of the component of COGS or cost of goods sold. So we need to add up the cost of goods sold and indirect costs which is 1 million plus 100,000. We get the answer of 1.1 million. If we were going to deduct the sales from the COGS, we deduct the COGS from the sales is we have the gross income of 703,000. So how to make an entry for that? And making an entry for that, it's either a periodic and or perpetual system. But mostly, usually talaga na ginagamit, pag sinabi nating mga lease agreements or lease contracts is itong tinatawag natin perpetual system. Bakit hindi periodic? Kasi si periodic kasi, it doesn't maintain an inventory but just count at the end of the period. Unlike sa perpetual system kasi, usually siya, ito talaga yung ginagamit. That is because yung nature na kasi ng asset na meron na involved nito is mga high-end value like kininas, yung mga equipment costs mga millions. And slow moving yan eh kasi may span of years pa bago mo totally mabuo, makomplete mo yung total na ng income mo, yung total interest mo. Kaya perpetual system talaga yung ni-use natin rito. So, our journal entry for the January 1, 2020 in recording a sale in perpetual system is we should debit the lease receivable which amounted to 2.2 million, the COGS or cost of goods sold which is 1,100,000. Why we also add the 100,000 here? As sinabi ko kanina, it is our indirect cost. At kailangan mapasali siya dito sa COGS because initial direct cost is one of the component of COGS. And walang mangyayaring benta, walang mangyayaring sale if wala yung mga processing fee or legal document or mga involved with the lawyer or the other third party. Kaya we must debit the COGS as well as the add up from the indirect cost na 100,000. So, 1,100,000. Of course, our sales which is total to our net investment na 1,803,000. Our UIC, not the University of Immaculate Conception, but it is referring to our unearned interest income. We have 397,000 which our difference. Kasi itong unearned interest income, mayroong tinakbo yung panahon eh. Meron tayong unearned interest income na 397,000. So, we will also credit the inventory in the cash kasi kasama yun sa binayaran natin which is we will record inventory and not the equipment kasi tayo yung nagbebenta which is amounted to 1 million and our cash is 100,000. So, here it is class, our TOA or table of amortization as our breakdown of payment which has the columns of date, payment, interest, principal, and as well as our present value. So, we put the date in January 1, 2020 in the first column with a present value of 1,803,000 and the rest is December 31 but deeper with the year which is December 31, 2020, December 31, 2022, 2023, and 2024. So here now, why there is a blank between on January 1 sa payment, interest, and principal? Of course, ang sinabi kasi sa provision is there was an annual rental payable at the end of each year. O ano ba yung end ng each year? Ano ba yung last month na yun? Of course, it is December 31. So we will record the payment interest and recognizing the principal as well as the present value at the end of each year, which is December 31, 2020, 2022, 2023, and 2024 to complete the 4 years term. So we have the 500,000, and getting our interest is we must do multiply our PB present value from our implicit rate given na 8%, 1,803,000 times our implicit rate na 8%, and we get the answer of 144,240, and we will deduct the interest from the payment, which is 500,000 and 144,240. We have principal na 355,760, and we will deduct the present value sa our principal. We have 1,447,240, and the same patterns goes on. As explained naman yung previous reporter, and I know you are very familiar with it, na pwede rin ninyo piyungan, char, pwede rin piyungan. So, what is our journal entry for 2020? Here, December 31, we have to record the cash 500,000 and debit our lease receivable na 500,000. And December 31, our unearned interest income, which is 144,000 and 240 pesos. And we will credit the interest income 144,240. And as you notice, December 31, the first entry, since it's a double transaction, same na sila, cash and receivable in the same amount, but they differ with the unearned interest income sa debit and sa credit na side, since sa ilahi man nag-change yung present value niya, since nag-less yan siya ng principal. Of course, nag-iiba yung interest niya. Kaya nag-change yung unearned interest income natin. Meron tayong sa December 2021, meron tayong 115,779, as well as December 2022, we have 85,042 pesos. And what about in December 2024? Of course, we will debit in the first line in the transaction. We have the cash and the credit lease receivable of 500,000, and we will credit the unearned interest income na 51,939, and also interest income na credit side interest income 51,999, and that's our breakdown of payments. So we do account if there is really an exercise of purchase option. So we will read the problem. At this point, on December 31, 2023, if the entries are properly posted, the lease receivable has a balance of 200,000 equal to the purchase option that we give, and the unearned interest income has a zero balance. So nakita naman natin sa our TOA, or table of amortization, at the end of the year, sa 4 years na term, at December 31, 2024, may ending balance tayo sa our present value na 200,000. So magkakaroon ng zero balance. So our journal entry for that is we will debit the cash and we will credit the lease receivable for the amount of 200,000. And at this entry, there is really a purchase option is being exercised by the lessee. Certain na dyan, i-exercise na ang iyang purchase option. But what if there is non-exercise of purchase option? Meaning to say, it is not reasonably certain. Hindi niya binili yung underlying asset. Our journal entry for that is we will debit the inventory, the 100,000, and also our loss and finance lease, 100,000, and we will credit the lease receivable, 200,000. This point kasi, bakit sinabi natin loss and finance lease 100,000? Since hindi naman talaga binili ni lessee, and if there is a, what we call this, there is no certain transfer of ownership of the lessee on the purchase option is not reasonably certain, as what I've said earlier, then at this point, the lessee will depreciate the use of an asset with the shorter between the useful life and the asset, and of course with the lease term. So what about if there is an actual sale of underlying asset? And that topic, Kent Fuentes will discuss it to you. And that's all for the report. And I am Roxanne Tagam, and thank you for listening.